Hello everyone, welcome to EasyMed. And these are the beautiful notebooks, actually customized medical notebooks made by the MedSathi for medical students. If you are interested, then please keep your order on the MedSathi on Instagram. And these are the questions that we are discussing at the end of this video. Let's talk about the cell membrane. The thickness varies from 7.5 to 10 nanometer, and there is extracellular space which contains fluid called extracellular fluid outside the cell and intracellular fluid inside the cell. Intracellular fluid has higher concentration of potassium, phosphate, and proteins, whereas extracellular fluid has higher concentration of sodium and chloride than the intracellular fluid. On talking about the composition, the cell membrane is made up of protein, that is 55%, and phospholipids, that is 25%, cholesterol 13%, and other lipid like sphingolipid 4%, and carbohydrate 3%. So the major constituent of the cell membrane is the protein, that is 55%, and second common one is lipid, that is 42%. And there is model called fluid mosaic model of the cell membrane. The fluid, it is called fluid mosaic because fluid, it can change shape, and the literal meaning of mosaic is a picture or pattern produced by arranging together small piece of stone or tiles as shown in this figure. So cell membrane look like this, and this model is given by Nicholson and Singer. And this model is called fluid mosaic because it looks like the mosaic, and it can change, but it can change shape, so it is called fluid mosaic model. So according to this model, the cell membrane consists of a lipid bilayer and protein and carbohydrate. So let's talk about the lipid bilayer. So on lipid there are three lipids. One is phospholipid, second one is the cholesterol, and third one is sphingolipid. So phospholipid is the most common one, around 25%, whereas cholesterol is 13% and sphingolipid is about 4%. And let's talk about the phospholipid. Now this picture is a picture showing the phospholipid, which contains two parts. One is phosphate and another one is the fatty acid part. And phosphate part is a water soluble part, so it is hydrophilic, whereas fatty acid part is a hydrophobic. And so this fatty acid part is hydrophobic, so it inhibits the water soluble substances like water, ion, and glucose, but it gives entry to the fat soluble substances like oxygen, carbon dioxide, and urea. So second one is the cholesterol. So the cholesterol is present at the lipid bilayer. So in this picture you can see. So the main function of cholesterol is it gives the fluidity to the cell membrane, and the second important function is it controls the permeability of the cell membrane. And the major component of the cell membrane is protein. So there are two types of protein. One is intrinsic protein and second one is extrinsic protein. So intrinsic protein crosses the cell membrane or is present throughout the cell membrane, and the function of these intrinsic protein are they act as a pore for the entry of water into the cell membrane, and the other function is it act as enzyme. It's help in facilitated diffusion and it help in active transport of substance. Whereas extrinsic protein just attach to intrinsic protein and they act as enzyme and they control the transport through intrinsic protein. And the third one is the carbohydrate, also called glycocalyx. So they are the carbohydrate are mainly two type. One is glycoprotein and another one is glycolipid. So carbohydrate binds with protein called glycoprotein and bind with lipid called glycolipid. So glycoprotein is major one, 9/10 of total, and glycolipid is 1/10. So the function of carbohydrate is it has negative charge, so it repel other negatively charged particle. And second one is it provides the connection between two cells or the connection of one cell with another cell. And third one is it acts as receptor, like insulin binds to carbohydrate. So it is one of the important question. And so there is a function of intrinsic and extrinsic protein, and one is the intrinsic protein also act as receptor for the peptide hormones. And the summary, so the size of the cell membrane varies from 7.5 to 10 nanometer, and which the composition, the majorly it is made up of protein, that is 55%, and then second most common is lipid, among which phospholipid is most common, 25%. And the fluid mosaic model of cell membrane is given by Singer and Nicholson. And phospholipid has two parts, one is phosphate and another is lipid. Phosphate is hydrophilic nature and lipid part is hydrophobic nature. And the protein, the most common constituent of the cell membrane, and which are two types, one is intrinsic and another is extrinsic, and another one is carbohydrate. So insulin binds to the carbohydrate. And the cholesterol, so function of cholesterol is gives fluidity to the cell membrane and control the permeability of the cell membrane. So these are some questions. So thickness of cell membrane varies from 7.5 to 1 is 10 nanometer. So 1 nanometer equal 10 to the power minus 9. So the answer is B, 7.5 to 10 into 10 to the power minus 9 meter. The second question is fluid mosaic model is given by we talked earlier, Nicholson and Singer. Cell membrane is mainly made up of protein, that is 55%. Second one is lipid, 42%, among which the phospholipid is most common one, that is 25%. Most commonly found lipid in the cell membrane is phospholipid, 25%, cholesterol 13%, and is sphingolipid 4%. And permeability and fluidity of cell membrane is majorly maintained by the, so its answer is cholesterol. So insulin binds to carbohydrate. So thank you so much for watching.